Hey everybody, welcome back. Today on Planted Earth, we are going to take a look at mint cuttings and take a few cuttings off of this big mother plant. What we're looking for is create 72 cells, something like this. Mint cuttings are real easy, so stick around and we'll get to it. So what I want to do here is just take the tips of these plants. So these mint plant cuttings will just be these tips. Now I can go down maybe to this leaf here. I want at least a bit of stem, but I do want some leaves. So I don't want to get too little. So this is what we're looking at right here. Now I can remove these top leaves if I want. When you have too many leaves, it kind of the plant loses moisture a little too quickly. We want to slow that down. So a lot of times we'll remove these top leaves. Now I'm not going to do that. I've had good luck just sticking these as is. So what I'm going to do is strip the big bottom leaves here. Okay. And I'm going to go with this. So I'll stick that as my cutting. So let's take a few cuttings here. Let's just snip off a bunch of these tips. Now, as I go to stick them, I can remove those bottom leaves. Now, these are going in little 72 cells. This one holds 9, so I'll just get 9 cuttings here and we'll go with that. Okay, now again, I want to strip off the larger leaves of my cuttings here because I don't want too much of that vegetative leaf surface. I don't want it to evaporate water too quickly. I want to produce roots. So I'm just going to pull off these larger bottom leaves on every cutting. Some of these look a little better than others, but I believe they'll all be just fine. Mint is so resilient and it roots so easily. You know, I think I'm just going to take those also. I'm just going to leave that top on that one. Okay, now my 72 cell here is just full of just potting soil and soaked up, wetted up real nice and saturated. Now what we're going to do, we're just going to make a little pilot hole for our cuttings. Just so we're not bending those stems when we try to push them into the soil. Now I'm just going to take these cuttings by the leaves. I'm going to pull those leaves up to protect them, and then I can stick that cutting. I'm just going to set it down into that hole and pinch the soil shut around it. Fold them in, hold it, set it in the hole, and just pinch that soil down around it. I'm going to do that with every one of them. Now these stems, as you can see, are so small and fragile. We don't want to stick them just in the soil because that'll kink and bend the stem, and that'll damage our cutting. So we want a pilot hole. Just set it down in there, pinch the soil around it. That's all you should really need to do for mint. Now other cuttings, you know, you get into gentle cuttings like Cali and Vinca vines and things. You'll have to do the same kind of system. Now if those cuttings, of course, you're going to want to use growth hormone, but we don't need growth hormone on mint. Mint is so virile, and it'll root just fine with nothing at all. Now what I'm going to do for these here is just take a little bit of water, and I'm just going to gently water these in or wet them in. That'll close that soil around that stem down inside there, and that should be all I really need to do. Now in a month or two, we're looking for something like this. These are ready for transplant, and these will go into bigger pots and eventually be mothers like these.
You accept you can have.
Well, you can. But when you get into CO2 and using carbon dioxide and things like that, like the dopers or the cannabis guys, what you want to do with that stuff is mount it up high, let it rain down on your plants, and then you got regulators, you got all sorts of stuff. That can get kind of overwhelming, and a lot of for food production and things like that, you're really defeating the purpose.
You can either be seriously injured or you can die.
Well, yeah. Well, you're defeating the purpose because it becomes more costly, and you're doing all this food for yourself to save money and save resources and things. When you start getting into CO2, all of that, that can get real pricey, and it kind of defeats the purpose of producing your own food, you know. Mint cuttings are real simple, easy to do. Hopefully you guys got something out of this video. If you have mint, get some cuttings. It's real easy. You don't need growth hormone. You don't need nothing. Easy way to produce a little bit of food, get some spices for your home cooking and stuff like that. Anyway, this is Planted Earth. Thanks for watching, people.